Bishop. Catch us each and every Sunday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 100.9 WXIR, where we seek to elevate the conversation on the Rochester community through constructive conversations with go-getters from around the town. So, I am so excited because we are continuing our conversation on education, and we have two young gentlemen in the room who are recent graduates. Can you introduce yourselves?
What's up? This is Harrison Underwood. Graduated from the University of Rochester this past May in Master's in Education.
This is Hagins. Just graduated from the College of Brockport with a degree in health sciences and education.
I feel weird saying that now, right?
Yeah.
Why is it weird?
It's new.
Because you work so hard at something you still not used to saying. It's almost like when your birthday comes and you forget like how old you are. You said last year age.
Yeah, I'm 29.
Right.
Yeah, I'm 28.
So let's start out the conversation with learning more about you both. Tell us what you want us to know.
I'm black.
Well, for me, every chance I get, I want to say that I am a real estate investor, and we do buy houses in cash. Also, I am the owner and operator of HD Company, where we are a real estate company where we buy and purchase real estate in the city.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm your favorite landlord. Trying to be.
Professionally, what are you doing now other than that?
I teach at 45 school. I'm the intervention teacher for 5th grade and 7th and 8th grade, math and ELA.
Okay.
That's awesome. I work at Northeast College Prep. I work with the special education department, where I work with the math and science students, or math science curriculum.
Is both of your backgrounds both in education, like the jobs that you've had mostly centered around working with kids?
Well, yes. Well, for me personally, yes. I've always worked in the city school district. I've actually been in the district on and off. My first year is subbing for like 3 years, and then I've been permanent at Douglas for the last 6. So I didn't realize that actually until earlier today when I was conversing with a colleague. Aside from that, I've always worked with students, whether it be, working community camps, as a counselor, Boys and Girls Club, Parks and Recs. So it's like I've always had, my niche around knowing that I like to work with the youth. And it just so happened that I picked up as, working in the city school district, and that's where I furthered my education so I can continue to do so.
Very similar experience as Shay. So I'm like an after school program kind of kid. So I grew up going to after school programs. I worked as a camp counselor. I used to work at the library. So it was almost people referring me to things after that. So I guess I kind of built a reputation of being a youth leader. And then when I was working at the library, I got a offer to teach the GED. So I'll start tutoring the GED for a while. And then naturally after I graduated from school so my bachelor's degree is in business, but I was volunteering at the after school program that a friend of mine worked for. Well, at first I worked there, and then a friend of mine asked me to volunteer, so I was just volunteering. And then I ended up coordinating the program. And when I left to try to do a business job, I used to work at Xerox for a while. And
You didn't love it?
I hated it.
That's the same with me. My background is in business as well. My bachelor's and my master's is in business, and I thought I was going to climb the corporate ladder with the Wegmans, but I didn't love it after a while. Like I was there for 15 years and I didn't love it, but I did love the work that I did with the Hillside students. So that's what made me start doing subbing at like Shay. I started subbing, and that's where I realized like I don't want to work with youth. So going back to high school, when you got out of high school, did you both go straight to college or did you take some time off?
I went straight to Brockport. Okay. So I didn't know if I wanted to go to college or not. It just kind of happened. Luckily for me, at East High School, they did the instant application day. And the only schools I signed up for was Brockport and MCC. And Brockport called me in first. Okay. And I had a decent GPA, and they were like, you know what, with these grades and and extracurricular activities, you'll probably get accepted to Brockport. And I was like, oh, I'm going to college.
Oh, so it wasn't a plan. So.
No, it wasn't a plan for me. I didn't have that kind of thing going on. I wanted to work after school.
Okay.
It's funny because it actually was a plan, but then it didn't work out that way. And then, you know, life happened. I initially had a plan to go straight to college. My sister, at the time, my mother was getting her life together. My sister had just had a baby and she was fairly young. So I decided to stay and try to help out the family. And I had got scholarships to Brockport, Buff State, Pace, Hofstra, and I was excited. And then my sister had dropped out of school. And she had, just like I said, she had just had a child. She was 16, and with her dropping out of school, I didn't want that to happen. So my mother and I came up with a plan of me going to MCC to help out my sister with the GED program while I take classes. I learned real quick that I couldn't do that. I wasn't really good at that. And eventually that led me to going to MCC, taking some time off. With my illness, I got sick, and then I ended up doing a project at Brockport, meeting the vice president, and then I ended up transferring to Brockport, and that's how I ended up graduating. So yeah, it was something where it was part of my plan, but it didn't happen that way, and it happens in God's time.
So you guys were kind of inspired in different ways to go to college. Why do you both think that college isn't appealing to some of our youth now?
College isn't appealing?
Media.
I disagree. I
No.
feel like
You do.
I feel like college is appealing, but it isn't appealing. It's the rewards that's appealing.
Yeah.
Yet it's still the intrinsic motivation is lacking because of media.
So when I talk to my students, and I mean I only have 2 students on my caseload, which are Northeast and Edison. And I would say a lot of them, college isn't what they want to do next. A lot of them want to join the workforce. A lot of them have concerns about debt. And they're like, I already don't like school. Why would I go to college?
I think that's smart that they, even though I believe in college and I love my college experience, I don't think college is for everyone.
Well, I disagree with that. So I hate when people say that college is for everybody. Everybody don't want to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Because our kids use it as an excuse. Miss, college ain't for me. Yes, it is. You can go to college. You're just as smart as the next person. Say you don't want to go to college. That's something completely different.
So I believe it. I think you should have a plan after high school, right? So you can't just you can't not have a plan and think everything is going to be okay, because you'll be sadly, mistaken. But I feel like there's a lot of people, I think there's an over amount of people who go to college just to not finish because they're not prepared or they don't know what they want, or to finish and have no plan afterwards, just think that that's the last step. So there's so many things, just because I don't know what it's like back in the day, but from what they would say, like having a college degree is like one of those things to do, is like, oh, you're gonna be good. When I got my bachelor's degree, I had options, but none of them really panned out like I thought I would be. Like a lot of people had that false expectation that you're gonna graduate college, make $40,000-$50,000 a year just to start, and then go ahead and make $70,000 and then $80,000, and like it's gonna work that way. It doesn't work that way. I know too many people who go with a college degree without a job.
For sure. Like I know people, that's their story, or they're not working in a job in their field, or they're making way less money than they thought the degree would bring in. You brought up a point that students aren't prepared once they go to college. Do you think our city schools are preparing students for college?
You want to know what's funny? So I have to go back and answer the first question so I can answer this question.
Okay.
I believe that college is for everyone, but it's not appealing because of media. They have shown there's so many people that have found success without going to college, that they have been idolized, and now that we have people that have shown you a blueprint that this is how you can do it without going to school, people want to model that behavior. The other thing that you're starting to notice, which brings me into the next part of your question, is that we are in a state, or we are in a predicament where the bar has been so lowered that you can walk over it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And what's happened is you have so many rules and regulations and curriculum expectations that you place on teachers that you're starting to grade the teachers with ultimately the teacher have to lessen the amount of work, because they want to show that they're putting in that effort. So now they have to do less to try to get the students to do more for the district to look like they're doing more, but now they're gaining less, if that makes sense.
No.
That's exactly what's going on. You get into the point where, so best example, I was writing a paper. I just finished my research paper. I had a student ask me, Mister, what are you writing? I said, I'm writing my research paper. They said, what is it on? I said, my research paper is on the psychosocial and emotional and academic outcomes of students who have parents that are incarcerated. They said, I don't even know what that all means. I said, okay. It's
what grade were you talking to?
I was talking to a senior.
Oh.
And I said, okay, so basically it's about the outcomes of students who have parents who's in jail. Oh, my dad is in jail. I said, so I'm writing my report on you. You ain't asked me any questions. I said, no, I'm telling you. And like with just that conversation, it just started making me wonder, like, is our generation getting slower? Because everything that we expect, like the conversation that you and I had, it's like we expect the microwave, instant gratification from certain things that is starting to underdevelop our generation. I feel like that's been the biggest.
I think.
Segue from it.
I think one of the things that I think is kids aren't prepared for college. They're not prepared for college, right? So even myself, I think some schools do an excellent job trying to put the right resources for kids for college. But
you mean when you say some schools, you mean colleges or high schools?
High schools and colleges, because U of R has been doing a great job, like trying to go into the schools, and a lot of other schools are doing the same thing, trying to go into the high schools to help prepare kids for college. But kids aren't prepared, at least in my experience, right? Even, and speaking for myself, right, to keep it an I thing, I was not prepared for college, even though everyone was there pushing me and encouraging me. And sometimes I see with the kids now, we're pushing them and encouraging them. But if you're not prepared for college, it's either you're gonna rise to the occasion or waste a whole lot of time and money, right? You're gonna learn a lot about yourself, but I'm not sure if that would be the best investment, right? So I would, everyone is entitled to go to college, right? That's why I love the idea that we community college and how we have MCC right here, one of the best community colleges. But you're gonna make, I know too many people not working with a college degree, and then so many people, we have firefighter department, right? They're looking, they're short in people, right? We have so many other places, electricians can make up to like 80,000 a year. But people instead, I think the priorities are just mixed up, right? We don't have the right representation all the time on college, right? We have it, but we're making it look easy, and it's not. Like, you have to work hard at everything that you do. You can't just be a rapper or be lit on Instagram, right? I mean, you could if you got that kind of work ethic, but but sometimes they don't.
Now, here's where I would also agree with you. College, now this goes against what we were just saying. I believe that college is for everybody, but I also believe that there are some people that need different type of learning. They learn differently. With that being said, we need to bring trade schools back.
Right.
Interscholastic classroom settings is not for everyone, but there are people that work great with their hands. It's funny because I actually realized this yesterday that I operate better audibly. You know what I mean? Like, I can hear something and it will resonate better than actually reading a book. Yeah. So what I got to the point of doing, like even in the end of my courses, I was actually reading myself the book, like recording myself reading and listening to it, and I was retaining information better. Now, that took a lot of, like I said, intrinsic motivation that the average child would have just given up on, but I'm a grown man. It took me a while to get there. Whereas some students, it's like, yo, you will make a great mason. You will make a great carpenter. You will make a great auto mechanic, but we don't see that, or we don't have those programs accessible to the students of the RCSD School District. And when we did, notice that was back in the early 2000s when Edison was booming, when people actually went to Marshall so they can go to law school, when people actually went to Wilson so they can study. You know what I mean? Like, you went to a certain high school and be in, around like-minded people that had the same ideas, that eventually that's what they went on to go do. Now it's like everything is so spread out that, of course, they're not getting the best of the education.
Edison still has a little bit of, but it's nothing like it was when I went to Edison. They don't even have the cosmetology program, and that's big. Like, a lot of girls, I go back and forth with it, because everybody, I feel like a lot of people in Rochester are doing the same thing, But I tell my girls, if it's something that you're good at and you know that you could have a lane in it, then go for it.
Right.
I think there needs to be, so I agree with both, with everything, right? Everything needs to be an option. I think people need to experiment, right? Like, you gotta know what you like and know what you don't like. Like, you gotta know how you learn, know how you don't learn. Like, you can't just read about it or think you wanna do something and never try it, right? And I think that's where people fall short, right? So it's not that we have, because I think all the resources are there. And I think things are a lot easier, even in the last like 5 years, to get things done. Right, the internet is way too crazy. YouTube and how-tos. There's like meetup apps for things that people are like interested in. It's too many options. I think you just have to try. Like, self-awareness is huge. What do you like and what are you good at? How do you learn? Like, those are the things that people need to learn.
Now here's the funny thing, we actually have that though. Like, I've seen that. Some of the counselors that brought these kids in, and you take this long test about what you like to do.
Oh, those career.
Yeah, and it's like we didn't really have that when we was growing up. We had to figure it out.
We did. It was just more boring. We had the internet is way more creative now. We had New York Career Zone. Remember that? Yeah, you do New York Career Zone. Shout out to Baden Street for giving me New York Career Zone.
Clearly, I was the East Side kid.
Whoa. No shots at me.
We had no. What I do remember, we had major achievement. When the people that came in from that like worked at Xerox and stuff, and they used to have like the major achievement program, and they taught you. I remember that.
So I remember that program. We had a program. It was like a mentoring program where I had a mentor at the University of Rochester. Her name was Dr. Bone. She was a neurologist, and once a month I would visit her in a lab at U of R, and it was just like crazy to me, like all the stuff, the technology, what she did, the work that she did, looking at DNA back then when I was a 6th grader. So those opportunities, I wish that I saw more of now. Ultimately, with those degrees that you both scooped up, what do you want to do with them? What's the end goal?
Listen, I think I learned a lot. It's hard to kind of say what you're going to do with something like, and I think a lot of high school graduates can attest to this, college graduates, just new graduates in general. It's like you've been a student for so long, and you work so hard at things. Like, now you feel, like, for me, I feel differently about teaching. Like, my goal originally, before I went to the education program, was to become a principal, right? That's me kind of tying in business. I see schools as a business as well. And me, like, I wanted to grow up the education ladder and become a principal and maybe a superintendent, and who knows from there. Now that I learned the ins and outs of education, and I went through my graduate program, which, you know, put some perspective on me. I would say it that way. I'm not completely sure what I absolutely want to do with my degree. I know I want to, while I'm new to education, I want to try my best to be an excellent teacher, right? I want the skills that come with teaching, I feel like those are valuable, but I don't know if I can stay in the classroom for
Same. That's why I thought I wanted to do it when I was subbing, but actually subbing made me realize that I don't think this is for me.
Yeah. And then the other thing about it is to teach and to educate are two totally different things.
For sure.
And I feel like teaching is when you create a learning stimulus, whereas educating is the like whole cerebral of, you know, what it is, the topic of what it is. And I wanted to be an educator. So when I chose health sciences and education, I realized that I love to talk about sex education. I love to talk about hygiene. I love to talk about health. I love to talk about basically a lot of different topics that surround, you know, public health administration. So initially that's what I went into, you know, safety, whatever the case may be. And I could see myself honestly being like a coordinator or some type of director for like Excelis, or, you know what I mean, it's like some type of government agency, even Jordan Health Center, some type of government agency where basically we're promoting healthy living and healthy lifestyle. I did speak to a mentor of mine and even thought about being a life coach, you know, things that I've always been good at.
Talking as a life coach.
Talking life into people and preaching. But what I came to the realization that I am going to do in my degree is I'm going to further and get my master's in higher ed.
Yeah.
So I you know, because college level kids is two things. You made it here. Now I gotta either get you to stay, or I gotta get you to stay because of what you don't see in yourself, or I gotta remind you of why you're here.
So it's very similar, right? So the problems in education has been the same for any educator that's listening to this. It's been the same for over hundreds of years, right? It's been the same problems. You can read the papers back in the day and read the papers now. Urban kids aren't reading. There's no cultural developed curriculum. It's the same stuff, right? And even when you do provide it, sometimes it's the same outcomes. I think it's more like what my personal view. I see more education as mentorship, right? So you have to go through the education system, right? There's no way around it. Like that's what kills me about kids who skip class. Like you're gonna skip 7th grade math just to come back to 7th grade math. Like where do you're just wasting time at this point. You got to get through it. And I think one of my personal responsibilities that I'm not getting paid for is to just be my best self as a teacher. Like it's important for me to be transparent. It's important for me to just this is what it is, and you have to go through it if you want to get to your real goals, right? No one wants to be like, I want to be a 5th grader. I want to be a 12th grader. Like you want to graduate and get to a goal, hopefully, but you can't do it most of the time without education, right? And you have to learn those skills that come with it. You have to learn how to research. You have to learn how to read fluently and understand. Like those are the things that you have to learn by doing, and that's just what it is right now.
I think to add on to that and not talk too much, but that goes back to a conversation I was having actually with Brock, and it was like when you get your undergraduate degree, it's basically saying that you are equipped to learn. It's saying that you are disciplined enough to learn. And when you goes for your master's, it's like now you know about this particular subject. Think about it, you have gen ed classes. It's the same thing. You're basically in 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th grade.
To get you to that college level.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's certain things, like you said, that you learn how to research. Like that research paper was beastie. You know what I mean? I started off. I think that was the most humbling experience when one of your colleagues slides your paper back and was like, "Yo, this is trash." And you're like, "Trash? This is 8 pages." And then you turn around. 8 pages of trash. 8 pages. That was just the intro. The intro was 8 pages. He said the intro was 8 pages of trash. By the time I was done, it was 32 pages, and it felt gratifying. But it's like to any child, which I could say my students seen this. So this particular situation is like, this is what happened. Students have seen me working on the paper. That's what you have to do? Oh, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So so now it almost looks discouraging, but I'm like, no, let me show you. So now I'm trying to show them how to break it down in simple steps. And it's like, oh, well, I don't feel like they're preparing me for that. Well, guess what? We wrote the answer on the board and you still don't got it on your paper. So even when, like I said, even when we put the bar so low that you can walk over it, they still don't take advantage. So I believe they got to want it for themselves.
And that's why we have to be there, right? Yeah. I feel like the best thing you can do is have some charisma. The best thing you can do is just again, be your best self, because if we don't, we're giving false expectations on what's going to happen once high school is over, what's going to happen after college is over. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Yes, I live my life this way, and yes, this is what I had to do to get there. I think that's a better message depending on who it's coming from. I mean, I think that's where I have most of my success at, right? Like, listen, I can't tell you that writing the paper is gonna, or doing this math problem, or doing this history problem, or listening to this teacher is gonna, reward you in the long run completely. But what I can tell you is that this is something you have to go through, and I did it as well. It's almost like a rites of passage that you can celebrate at the end, right? You celebrate the rites of passage of going through high school, the struggles, because everybody can attest. If you didn't struggle through undergrad, more power to you, right? Because I struggled through it. Shay, I know your story. You struggled through it. Grad school has completely humbled me. I'm just not an academic person like I thought I was. And but you know something? I'm happy that I went through it. Graduating and walking the stage felt amazing, right? And that's something that everybody should experience as well. It's going to give you the confidence to go further. And I'm actually more encouraged to like knowing that I was able to get through a master's program. It's encouraged me to wow, I'm that step closer to getting a PhD.
Are you going to get a PhD or ED?
I mean, you never know, man. You never know. I can't say yes, I can't say no. But, it's definitely a thought right now. It doesn't seem impossible to me, right? Like, nothing seems impossible to me at this point.
Right. So, I know Shay touched on mentors. Who have been some mentors to you both, and what advice has resonated the most?
Life has been a mentor, but if I have to pick specific people, I will honestly say it was my high school math teacher, Miss Norman.
Okay.
Ms. Lorman is 146 years old. Like, when I tell you she's so old, it's funny because she's so old that when we ask her, she still won't tell us her age. And then one day she slipped up and said it. She said, "You better not say nothing." I'm like, "All right, I won't say nothing." But she has taught the math teachers in our school. That's how old she is. She's so old, she taught Miss Graham and Miss Thomas. And it's like, wait, what? Like, you was my math teacher. And then it's funny because now she's my nephew math teacher. So she's been teaching math like literally over 40, 50 years.
That's what's up.
And like, just knowing, one of the biggest things that I've always taken from her is that you really can't give up on kids. Like, I watch her take the roughest kids, and it's like, and it's, you know what I mean? Sometimes it sucks. It sucks, but it's like, for her to like remember, she'll remember names, she'll remember faces. You look like your kid to these people. And they be like, "Yeah, that is." I'm like, "Oh, I taught your aunt." Like, she just knows everybody, but she genuinely cares.
Right.
Like, she genuinely, like, wholeheartedly will pull you to the side. "Hey, such and such is struggling. And they were doing such a great job. Can you talk to them?" Like, she'll find those type of relationships. And one of the things, like, that was something that I got from her, because it was like, even after I graduated and all the expectations that people have for you, it's like, ultimately you do it for yourself, but then you remember the people that believed in you, and that's what helps you or ignites you to rise to the occasion.
The extra love.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And she was one of those people. And then when I got done, and she was like, "I know you can do it." You know what I mean? Like, just pumping me up. I thought I was about to go to a game or something. Like, yeah, be hype. But that was like, she reminds me of why I have those certain conversations where I pull students to the side, "Yo, hey, get it together." Or sometimes you'll literally just have to stop a student like, "Yo," and they'll turn around the hallway like, "I see you, man. You're doing a good job." Because that little subtle reminder, you know what I mean, ignites them, and that's what she did for me.
For me, I kind of have like a different perspective, but I had a lot. I'm a community person, so I really feel, that's why I feel like so connected to just my neighborhood in general, because it was a lot of people in the neighborhood who kind of influenced me, both positively and negatively. Like, at first, I just knew what I didn't want, right? Just by looking around. And I was like, okay, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. And then I had a lot of community moms. So, and that's why you're right, you can't give up on a kid, because I was written off a few times, but these community moms was holding me down, seeing stuff I never even thought would be possible. And, you know, years later, it came to fruition. Just to name a few, if they actually see, I would say Miss P, absolutely. My first, Karen Pashali, Miss Maggie's, a community place on Joseph Avenue. Everybody from Joseph Avenue has been to Miss Maggie's camp. And then indirectly, I think, and Shay, you know this one, Brock and stuff. I had one conversation with him. I never, I think I had a respect problem growing up. So because I was a good kid, I always got overlooked. And so it was hard for me to I respect the women in my life because they were always there, but it was never, I never really had like a strong, like what I saw would be like a poppin' kind of guy. And I met Brock when he was like 24. So that was kind of cool to see him go through his thing. And so just seeing him do his thing kind of encouraged me. And then Michael Campbell. So Baden Street was a huge part. It was just a program I was going through. And this guy just always believed in me and supported me. And I was just cool with that. I was like, okay.
So what are, in the work that you both are doing right now, what would you say are some major challenges that you're facing in the classroom?
Students, what is not a major challenge? All right, so, okay, honestly.
It's May 1st.
Yeah.
So take this in consideration before we say anything. It's May. It was a long year. Okay, but I'm gonna try to find.
It's May, hold on, it's May on top of us working towards something and then having the same expectation of our students. Yes. I would say that's one of the biggest challenges. While you're simultaneously going to school and you're watching students not do some of the things that you have to do, and it's like, dude, look at me, I'm doing it, can you please do it for me? Like, that's one of the biggest challenges. Oh man, especially now, because it's like students will say, and matter of fact, this goes back to what we was talking about. Students have learned, or young kids, like young adults in general, once you can measure the consequence of something, then that will help you gauge whether or not you're going to follow through, whatever it is. So now students learn that all you can do is, you know what I mean? That's the biggest phrase. Well, all you can do is, if they about to get in trouble, all you're gonna do is send me out to the principal. All you're gonna do is send me ISS.
Yeah.
All you gonna do, you know what I mean? So now students learn that, and they're really not working towards nothing because all you're gonna do is, you know what I mean?
Right.
So now they can measure the consequences. They don't want to work the same. Like I said, it's I believe Harrison can attest to this. Like, yo, ain't nothing worse than having a child do something you like, oh, this is so simple, while you're thinking about the paper that you gotta do. Like, I really got homework I could be doing for you not to be not to care as much as I want you to right now.
I think that was really frustrating, right? So for me, the class that I was taking, my last class is a repeat course, right? So I had to redo this whole assignment, this huge assignment. It was basically my full degree, right? It was everything I learned until
Like a capstone?
Similar to a capstone, but it was for literacy, right? And I'm working hard on it. Basically, I had to redo it and revising it, reading a whole bunch. And then I have a kid complain, and this is middle school, right? So the middle schoolers are complaining about reading a paragraph. And I'm just like, yo, I just read like 40, 50 pages last night, and like please get through this paragraph. It's not gonna be that rough, I promise you. So that's kind of frustrating, kind of putting your own expectations on the kids. So, you know, simultaneously going through that, it's a lot of stress. And then kids, you know, they have a different way of showing that they care, right? So the first thing that come out of the kid's mouth is, I don't care, right? And knowing that, being a kid before, I know you don't really mean that when you say I don't care, hopefully. You know, it's times when I was dead serious, but, you know, but I care so much as a teacher, and I'm here, I got this lesson. If I have planned the lesson all the way, and I'm here like to deliver it, and I'm like, yo, this is about to be so fun at the end, like we got to learn this first. And they're like yelling and screaming through it, that's frustrating. That, or I try to provide all the resources because I hate excuses. There's pencils in my class, there's paper in my class, there's extra books. Everything you need to succeed in the class, but them kids ran me dry. So after the support is supplying the pencils and papers for so long, and a kid come to me and say, I don't have a pencil. Like, I know there's like the whole poem saying kids got other things to worry about but a pencil. Yeah. But like, the only tool you need, like you got literally one job to come to class and learn, to make somebody proud at home. You know, I gotta spin it up, I gotta guilt trip them.
A little bit, manipulate them a little bit.
And I'm like, yo, please come to my class.
All the way here.
To learn, and you don't got the only tool you need.
You brought a book bag with no pencil? Oh, that's man. It's even worse because I have high school.
Hold on. No. When it's like late in the day and you don't have a pencil. So what happened to you? What happened to all the other classes? Like, you had to switch. But this is me talking about middle school. So just to backtrack a little bit, I work with fifth graders as well. And fifth graders are excellent. I do believe that's the smartest grade ever. It's downhill from fifth grade.
That's where
So I think they're the only frustrating part with the fifth graders, because it's easier to see the kindness in them, right? Because they're not really fully thinking for themselves completely, because it's a lot of parental part in there. And parental engagement, and you know, they're just so impressionable. When those kids don't say they don't care, or when those kids are like frustrated about something, it's not completely just their fault. It's almost like it's my fault, it's everybody around them fault, right? Because if they don't see the importance of what they're doing, or they don't feel like they want to impress someone else enough to do what's right in school, that's concerning to me.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel you.
But see, it's a little different. I got high schoolers, so when they say they don't care,
most of the time they don't.
And then honestly, another thing dealing with the unauthorized term of endearment.
Which one?
Oh
gosh.
Yeah, that's hard to deal with it.
Oh my gosh.
So we look at all these struggles and all these challenges, and we understand that, you know, these crises, they begin at home, and then they come into, you know, the K-12 environment, and then they kind of lead our kids into like different cycles, like incarceration and etc. So what do you think we can do, educators, to have better educational outcomes for our young men of color in particular?
We need more blacks in school.
More representation.
I hate to say it like that, but it's quite simple, because it's easier. And I feel like you probably can even understand this. You'll have a student who will be dealing with a situation with another teacher or another faculty member in the building. And if the staff is anything other than the color of their own skin, it's not going to end well. and you can, but culturally, we know what to say in that situation. We know who we're dealing with.
You can walk up and be like, yo.
Cut it.
And it'll just be like,
really? You know what I mean? Like, we can say really, and it'll just be dead. Or that's what we doing. You know what I mean? But it's like they need their own. And I'm sorry, you know what I mean? I would love to do an experiment, but due to Jim Crow laws, you know what I mean? But I feel like if they were around, if they seen their own kind, and I'm not just talking about the people that happen to be of color that went to Penfield. I mean, like, my students gravitate to me because they see me walk down Genesee Street. I play basketball on Scioto Street with them. They see me at Lewis Street when they have games. I'm involved, so it's easier for them to gravitate to me. So yeah, they need that.
Yeah. I think absolutely right, Shay. I think we got a huge advantage being like black male teachers, right? So we don't got to, and we from the neighborhood. So there's a lot of stuff we got a lot of challenges we don't have to deal with when it comes to communicating with kids. I'm like, listen, well, you know how it is, because we all here. But for if there are any white people watching or non-urban people listening right now, I think the best thing you can do is build a community, right? Because when they see separate communities, it's like home life and school life is already different. But now we're dealing with, like, you know, black life versus non-black life, or urban life versus non-urban life. So if people were more like, personally, from what my colleagues and other colleagues that I work with, they don't really know what it's like to live in the city. So now you're trying to help or save someone instead of trying to teach them, right? So if kids if we had like a better community, like even at my personal school, like there's not a strong community. Like, as a staff, I don't think we're a strong community. If we had a stronger community and actually liked each other and understood each other and raised children in that kind of environment, it'd be a lot easier to get to them. Because now you have community language. Like, we have community language, but white people don't know it, right? We can talk to kids. We know what kind of stuff they go through. We're not being, I feel like they're more likely to get like into that savior mode, gotta save the urban kid, or get manipulated because these kids are smarter than you think.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
They
They
come
over
in
here
with a sad sob story.
Like, nah, cut it. We don't. I feel like if we could build a better community, just that everyone is a part of, it would work. But I don't think there's an actual, like, you know, fix to this.
Blueprint or rubric.
Yeah.
It is, and to go off of what you said, not only do we already have that community, but it's also the point of, it's like the constant reminder of, like, they need to know they need to see real. You know what I mean? Something that's realistic. So, prime example, I was expressing that I purposely teach, you know, in like shirts, slacks, tie, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday we have a college day, so you wear something. I usually wear, you know, my fraternity wear, or I'll wear college I went to. And then Friday we have school spirit, so we wear like a, you know, Panther t-shirt. But then for a long time I was self-conscious of my tattoos and how they was going to be perceived, until realizing that students gravitated to it, like, oh, well, you tatted, yeah. And I'm also doing homework. You know, it works both ways. So when they started seeing things that's more realistic,
They found out you were a neighborhood scholar.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, you really do that. You know what I mean? So it helps them understand that there's hope.
Right.
Like, I'm just like you. Like, we're not that different, right? Because a lot of times, especially kids, I mean, we can see how they treat different teachers in general, but it's still, you gotta remember, little kids, especially, you know, I'm an elementary school teacher, so little kids be thinking that I live in a school, right? Like, they think that I'm like a professional teacher. Like, when they found out I had a mom, right? I'm like, yeah, I got a mom, a brother, a sister, and friends and stuff. Like, they need to know that we're real people. Right. So I think that's important, right? Again, that's why I try to be as transparent as possible. Like, yes, this is how I am. Yes, you can like it or not like it. This is me, and I'm here to teach you.
I'm the same way. Like, all the students know my story, so like they can relate to it and relate to me as a person. What are some supports that you think teachers could use nowadays to help them be more successful in their classrooms?
That's a good question.
Support from, I honestly believe it starts at the leadership. There are a lot of schools that are suffering because we don't have proper leadership roles. We have administrators that are in positions that never were teachers.
Okay, wait, cause I'm in school for educational leadership and supervision, and I never technically was a teacher.
Watch this though.
So how does that?
Watch this. Hold on, I'm not done.
Okay.
How does that work?
But she went to school and she applied and got accepted and started doing homework. But
Exactly. I needed to have 3 years of working with students.
Now see,
and I
see what
had
you just
that.
said? Now watch this. I know people that are administrators that never were teachers, but will try to assist you or try to educate you on how to build rapport with students when they have the poorest rapport. And then it's like, are you serious? Like,
so that's what I don't struggle with.
That's our thing, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what makes all three of us strong, because we have that rapport with students. Like, I was walking into school and I was singing The Baby one day, and the student said, how you know that? I said, the same way you know that. I listen to the song and I know the words, you know what I mean? But then another staff member was like, you were singing, what was that song you were singing? I'm like, nothing. You know what I mean? Like, is you trying to be down or is you trying to be nosy? Like, so that's one of the biggest things. And also, I feel like there needs to be diversity training led by students.
Okay. I
Staff
like
needs
that.
diversity training led by students, because ultimately you can't be sending these professionals and these doctors to tell you that this is how you're going to deal with people on a case-by-case basis. But if I have students in my environment and they tell me this is what I need from you, that works more than somebody coming from out the state that central office done hired and paid them thousands and thousands of dollars to lead a workshop to give us a half a day off, when people like us are sitting in these meetings like, this bores me because this is not going to work. You know what I mean?
Like, this won't work
This won't. Yeah, you know.
This
Honestly,
won't work with.
I hate to be that person, but I sit there the whole time. The whole time they talk, I'm like, John Mayer ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, you just start going through your whole head.
Stefan ain't gonna do it.
You know what I mean? Cheyenne not gonna take that. You know what I mean? And you just know it. But then it's funny because the teachers that do have relationships with those students, ask them, what is it that you need? So there needs to be diversity training led by students that are, is geared and powered by supportive faculty. You know what I mean? Because I don't like the feeling of the strong black male that comes to save. No. You know what I mean?
The daddy figure.
Yeah.
They had a person in our school who was like, he's not there anymore, but that's what he was there, like, to clean up the messes. He was like the daddy figure, and I don't like why they put us
in the disciplinary role. Yeah, like discipline the kids while we teach them.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think a resource just to kind of put like an easy to do kind of thing out there. If teachers would actually just be involved in the community, I would say go to an event that your kids would probably be at or their parents would be at. Get to know the culture, like be familiar, right? Don't be so unfamiliar. So I think the kids are a huge resource, right? The kids in the community is a resource. Just pull up.
Right.
Be there. That's literally it.
They should actually even get PD credit for doing like tutoring at rec centers.
Oh yeah, that'll be lit.
You know what I mean? Have these teachers, because what's happening is that it's like the teacher's like, is it 3:30 now? All right, you know what I mean? And they're out of your life.
They run.
I can't say that.
But see, I do it. But guess what?
That's trying to go.
I'm guaranteed by 5:30, I'm at somebody's basketball game, somebody's softball game, or I'm at the Y, and the same students that thought they left me at the Y, and all of a sudden we playing basketball, we lifting together. So it's like I might be the first person out the door, but I guarantee you I'm like one of the last faces they see.
Yeah.
So what are your own experience with public education? What schools did you go to?
I went to every elementary school in Rochester.
Seriously?
I feel like it.
I
went to a lot.
I went to number 9 school, then I went to 22 school for the majority of it, and then I went to number 6 school.
Okay.
And then I went to Charlotte Middle School back when it was a middle school, and then I graduated from East High School.
My story's a little more complex. So I went to 19 for 2 days.
Okay.
And then I went to 44. For 2 days. I went 19 for 2 days. I went to 44 for kindergarten.
Okay.
Then from first through 4th, I went to 34 school. Then I went to 7th school for 5th. I went to 16 for 6th. I started at McQuaid and then transferred to Madison. And then I got accepted into Harley. And then I went to Harley for a little bit and I couldn't afford the tuition and I went to Marshall.
Okay.
So as you can see, I just kept like flip-flopping. But the one thing that it made me very eclectic to culture, because I seen the things I wanted to do, and I learned a lot that I'm good at. And also, going back to the previous question, my mentor, Thomas Knapp, God bless, he passed away last year. He was also that person that like made it cool to do things that my friends wasn't doing. Mm-hmm. Like he would take me to the mountains and we wasn't allowed to use any technology, no TV, no nothing, but I learned how to, start a power boat. I learned how to play tennis. I learned how to play racquetball. And then I came back to the city and it was like, oh, y'all don't do that here? You know what I mean? And I actually ended up being good in the city. I mean, being good at tennis, being good at volleyball. And it's like, those are things that it's like, had it not been for going to Harley and going to McQuaid, because most of my teammates played for McQuaid. And then when I played for Marshall, that part about life was kind of sucks. You know what I mean? Because like my travel team all played for McQuaid and Harley. So they're like, oh, that's Shade. They're like, how you know them? I'm like, let's not talk about it. We're just about to lose real bad. You know what I mean?
So have you guys been following, or did you follow the selection for the superintendent? Did you follow any of that?
No.
I kind of watched it for fun, but not really like followed it and stuff. I think it's I really don't want to share my opinions, but for fun I will. Right?
No, I want to
let's get spicy.
No. I thought it was just kind of funny and stuff. We've been through a few superintendents.
That's understatement.
Yeah,
We went through a lot.
But I don't know for sure and stuff, right? So it could be a rumor, it could not be. But I heard they still on payroll, so they have like years of contracts. Yeah, so they still getting paid. I'm like, wow, I need to become.
That's why our budget is so crazy.
For a little bit. Give me some bread. Nah, I'm joking when I say that. But for the record, edit that part out. But no, I thought it was just kind of funny just to kind of watch it. I actually can't wait to see what happens next.
They selected one. His name was Terry Dade.
Yeah, I saw it. He's a well accomplished man. I seen a little blurb about him and stuff.
Yeah,
people are supporting him. He's a black man, so I can't wait to see what he does. I can't wait to see these numbers, if they move or not. How are they gonna show the data to see if we're actually growing as a district or not? But I think it's gonna be really funny.
I purposely didn't follow because again, it's like we keep getting these people that are from out of town to come in here to try to tell us how Rochester
Why
works.
not? Get something new, mix it up.
That's booty.
There you go. We have something from Rochester, putting the Rochester in it. We need something
listen, right now, if I come into your house and say, Harrison, none of this works, you need to move this over here, you're gonna be like, who do you think you are? That's the first thing.
That's when you pull out your resume and your back.
Yeah, that's what Natalie Shepard, she was on the last show, and she said his work that he's done. Yeah. Like he's been in districts and he's improved them. So that's why.
He didn't improve the district.
Well, it was
the students had to do the work.
Exactly. I mean, no one person can do it, but he's been a part of improvement plans of other districts, and they were able to move the needle in a positive direction.
We also had
in all honesty, I'm actually expecting positive things. I think we're at a low already. And
so it's nowhere to go but up.
Right. I think this guy's I feel like everyone, it has too much attention on it right now. Like everyone's looking, everyone's watching and stuff. Like I don't want him to do bad, but I can't wait to see what he does. And as a teacher, I'm gonna do my best.
I don't even think it's not even like I'm looking for something bad to happen. But honestly, I'm just at the point where it's like I do my job. It's like, what you want me to do, and I do that. I perform that because no matter who you keep bringing in and out, our job still is not gonna stop. Yeah. They're just gonna try to keep telling us how to do our job differently. We're going to keep doing the things that they say, but guess what? If the students don't do the work, we're still not going to get the results. So that part, it doesn't even, you know what I mean? Because I'm going to tell you what changed my mind about superintendents. This is a true story. I was on a plane with Jean-Claude Bizarre. Mm-hmm. You remember when he was superintendent?
Yes, I remember.
And
how long was he superintendent? 2-3 seconds?
I don't even remember. I just remember being on the plane with him, and I was heading down to Florida. And he was heading down to Florida to catch a connection flight to like Morocco or something. And he was saying how, I'm about to go on vacation. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I took a sick day to leave for the weekend. Where are you going? You talking about you going out the country? You know what I mean? I feel like these people
live his life, man.
I feel like these people get this money and then they just like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man.
I use it as a title.
a stepping stone.
You know what I mean? And then once I get
put on my resume,
and then I bounce.
I was the superintendent of schools in Rochester, New York. That's just something to have.
And all of us have done research, and you know it's so easy to skew numbers. Just like, I'm not even going. I say it. Shoot, we had a previous principal, not the principal now, not the active principal. We had a previous principal at my school who skewed numbers by saying that he increased graduation rates by forcing students to graduate early and bringing plans or intervention plans to have, this counts as this credit, this counts as this credit, and now look like you made these sea of people graduate when really you forced certain students to graduate and manipulated them into thinking that they were prepared for college, and guess what?
They were.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
So it's like, we can do this so many different ways. You're not gonna pull the wool over mine. I just have one responsibility. And my responsibility is to be real with that one student.
That's
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, hold on, quick question. So I saw an article, or maybe it was like a news clip, where we saw that, what was it? Rochester Prep High School. They have 100% graduation rate and 100% college acceptance rate for this class that they're graduating.
And MCC accepts everybody.
True. So our
That's lit though. That's a good story.
charter
That's
schools the new wave?
Yes and no.
Okay.
From my personal experience, I like the discipline and everything from charter school. My son goes to a charter school. However, what I will say is, like I said, numbers can be skewed. They have 100% accepted rate, right? But what if only 50 people apply for college?
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Like there's ways of manipulating these numbers to make them sound good, and that doesn't mean that these students are greater than the students that are in the Rochester City School District, because guess what? They're the same students. They just got accepted, and there was some room made, and the student got accepted into this private school, or this they got accepted to the public private school. When honestly, like when you think about it, the education isn't so much different. It's just the discipline and curriculum.
I love the idea of charter schools. I love that.
I like uncommon schools.
I like uncommon schools too. I like that there's different options, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
but they can also kick students out too. Like the
That's
district
okay,
doesn't
too.
have that ability to
Yeah, I
kick
like
a
that.
student out. So if a student isn't performing, or they're not, adhering to their disciplinary procedures, then they could kick them out and they have to go.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I think.
I'm saying that's why they work.
Oh yeah, and I think that's
that's
not
why
bad.
the city school
So,
district doesn't work.
In the city
we
school
got some
district,
kids that will tell you, the 3-letter acronym that I don't like, and then they'll still be in your class.
Invite you to their
Yeah,
private
you know what I mean?
heart.
yeah. I mean, it's
It's
serious.
all over the place, and the next thing you know, they still sitting in your classroom. You know?
Listen, man. For what I see, there's serious students and then there's unserious students. And a lot of times, in my personal experience, you spend so much time giving attention to the non-serious students that you don't get a chance to appreciate the serious students. So they're like being cheated of an education. So charter schools, everyone's entitled to an education. Everyone's entitled to an education, but at least you have the option to put your kid in a community of strong learners.
Where the
right?
students first, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. I would knowing what I know about education, I wouldn't mind paying for it. Like at the elementary school level, I would put my preschool kid at I don't know, in a community of strong learners.
Did you guys hear about all the proposed cuts that they're hoping to do next year? Cuts to teachers, administrators, special education programs.
Yes, and it's gonna fail.
Yeah,
we actually it's gonna fail drastically. We just had a conversation, and think about it like this: they're trying to cut some of the special ed teachers, and they're trying to make the classes inclusive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you put 15 in a regular classroom setting, right, it's about 20 to 30 students in the district. We don't want it to be 30, but that's kind of where we at now.
Right.
And you're talking about the fact that we have special classrooms that are 15-1, that are 12-1-1, that are 8-1-2s. They're trying to make these classrooms inclusive, right? That's going to take away from the learning from the students that don't need the distraction, the ones that got it. And now you're trying to put a special ed teacher and a regular ed teacher in this classroom and make it exclusive with 15 people who have different disabilities and 15 people who may not have a diagnosed disability but were well off. And now it's going to make sure it's just like putting, it's like putting that one rotten orange in a basket full of oranges that are ripe. Unfortunately, it's going to make the other ones start to mold out.
Yeah.
And not only that, so you have that issue in addition to students students are all at different levels. You know, we're passing students along no matter what up until they get to high school. So you have a classroom where students are all different levels. Then they have disabilities. So I just don't foresee that going well at all.
I think that's counterproductive, right? If you think taking away money from the something that we actually like care about, we say we care about education. If you think taking it and giving money is the answer or disciplinary, that's the saddest mistake ever. Teachers are already, speaking for myself and other teachers I know, I think we are underpaid and underappreciated. There's way too much to do sometimes, right? Not for every teacher, but there's too much to do. If anything, maybe go inside the schools and make them more efficient, like per school. But don't say we're going to take this money away, like looking at some magic number, because it's more than just an equation or a math problem. It's more of an art. Like you got to go in there and find what works. Because
look at the data,
you can't look at the data all the time. Go in there and see with your eyes, right?
You gotta be in the classroom.
Yeah, well, I think it should be the principal's discretion, right? Maybe the principal should fight more for the actual budget, because if you think just taking, even though they say it all the time, because there's a teacher shortage. Who wants to go into a stressful career like teaching?
But they say it's a teacher shortage, but I don't
firing teachers.
Right, so I don't even understand that.
No one knows what's going on. It's crazy.
They're lying.
It's just a whole bunch of
everybody's liars. That's what it is.
It's just a good story. Every year there's a teacher shortage. Every year when I was substituted, I get a call like every August saying they were looking for positions and stuff. Like, come on.
You want to know what's funny? It'll be a teacher shortage, right? But then we'll have a shortage of staff that can substitute for teachers who ain't there.
Right. I remember when I was subbing, like legit, I would get a call every day. Like when I was subbing, I would get a call every day.
I know. Like I look, we have a dry erase board that has every teacher that's out, and then they're like, who's replacing the person, so everybody knows. And there's so many times that you'll see the teacher out and then vacant, or you know what I mean, or it's just a blank spot. Or now the new thing that they have doing, they're paying TAs. I hate to admit this. They're paying TAs $5 extra for one class period to perform as a teacher in the event that a teacher is pulled out and they don't have a substitute to cover.
At least they're compensating them.
No. Focus. Because a substitute teacher gets paid nearly $240 a day.
Well, that's when they have to work a certain. Yeah, they do.
They went up 240.
Yeah, yes. But you have to work up to that. That's just, you don't start with that.
Okay, you start at what, 220 something?
120.
No. Substitute teachers, no. Substitute teachers, not TAs, not teachers.
No, substitute teachers started when I first started substitute teaching. It was only I started back in 2016, but it was like 116.
Yeah, it's 120 when you first started.
Yeah, it was 116.
You work your way up to that. Yeah. So you have to work a certain amount of days.
So watch this.
It still doesn't equal. I know.
It's still watch this. I'm gonna say even when you're in the classroom, right? The assistants in the classroom majority of the time does more work than the teacher. Not to throw them under the bus, but I'm saying because culturally there are more people that are of African American descent who are teaching African kids, who are teaching these students who know how to get through to them. Right. And when teachers are getting frustrated, they only want to concentrate on the students. I'm just going to concentrate on these. Can you help out such and such? And now it's like, okay, you got them in the classroom to discipline, or you got them in the classroom to assist. It's but I don't. It's just but.
So.
Yo, remember Teachers Appreciation Week?
Yeah.
What did they do for you? Did you last year? I mean, 1 year we had Chipotle.
Douglas is different. I can say.
I'm talking about just the community in general. Usually the community.
They had to buy one get one for Chipotle.
They did.
Did we miss it?
They must have.
I ain't heard about it. I know usually that's email go. I about to say I remember we had that buy one get one.
I don't know.
But in our school does show a lot of support. I feel like that's one thing I can't say about Douglas. And when it comes to a community, like they hold each other down. They actually did a dinner appreciation for all the teachers. Even the ones that don't eat meat. They made Big Z, they made salad.
Yeah.
I wasn't there that day, but they
gave us coffee.
Took my order.
In my school.
Speaking of not being there, you just reminded me of something. Remember we were talking about, they need to provide certain resources for the students?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know how we don't ever have heat?
Oh.
Yo, listen. So something happened.
I've been in old schools.
No. This is gonna really mess you up. Something happened where our genie had to work in the community, so they cut off all the electricity. and when they turned it back on, it messed up everything.
Yeah.
So the school was hot. So now you got students walking around the school saying, "Oh, all this time y'all had heat, y'all just didn't cut it on? Wow, that's messed up. It's mad hot." Yo, the school was sweltering. I came in a hoodie. It was raining and everything that day. I came in a hoodie. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I know it's gonna be a little cold. Yo, it was blistering. We had the windows open even in the rain. So now, y'all basically what y'all do is y'all freezing our kids to death.
It's always something.
It always is something.
You gotta roll with the punches with education, boy.
I definitely didn't say 100.9 WXIR 3 times during the show. Sorry, Rashida. We had just such a good conversation. Like, it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling.
WXIR 100.9. There go. That's twice.
All right. So tell the people where they can find you guys on social media.
You can find me on Instagram at the Harrison Duke, and on Facebook under Harrison Underwood. Harrison Duke Underwood.
So you can find me on Instagram as Shay Fonz. That's FONZ, CHEFONZ. If you do find me on Facebook, I probably won't answer. I don't even like Facebook. I'll be honest. I only go on Facebook just to let people know I still cut hair. That's it.
We appreciate you guys for coming on. Thanks for coming on the 585 report. Catch us each and every Sunday, 6 to 7 p.m. on 100.9 WXIR.